All right, Jay. Yeah, I've got something very specific for you. Everybody, what is it to be drunk, naked, or uncovered in your tent and have to have your son come and cover you up? You're drunk on wine from your new vineyard. You know the story of Noah after the flood. He gets drunk off of his new wine and he's in his tent uncovered. His sons come and cover him back up. There is something very specific there. I have been there before. I've been drunk, naked in my tent, both in the physical world and in the spiritual world. The one we're looking for here, of course, is the spiritual understanding. So that's what that is. Now, what I want to say, and this is very important. Everybody, my name is Dan Paulson. Welcome to the video if you're watching. The Bible is the most complicated place to teach this template. It is so thick. When you finally interpret what is in the Bible, you're going to sit there and go, really? That's it? That's all there is to it? That's all there is to this. Okay, so there's something very simple, and the outside is just growing, like crystals all growing off of it, all these facets and things like that from a very simple core. The Bible has so much on there. Hinduism, so much on there. They're just these big monsters built on a simple human life template. The Bible is incredibly hard to find this in. And the template is really just human life template. What we're looking for, well, who needs the template? Just tell me what to do. How do I heal? How do I feel better? This was old media. Do we have time to go through it? No, our time is different. How we live life is a lot different than theirs. So we can cut to the chase. Naked, drunk on wine. Here's what that is. Now, I don't know if it happens to everybody, but it certainly happened to me. There's a point in time where I'm learning what to do, but it's coming from different sources. One of them is in a Bible. There's a verse in the Bible. Let me find it, actually. All right, think of this for a second. This is in James chapter 5, verse 16. Confess your faults one to another that you may be healed. Confess your faults one to another that you may be healed. I've not heard that before. That doesn't say turn it over to God. It does not say Jesus died for your sins. That's what you consider when you're a Christian. I turn it over to Jesus, my sins are healed. Yet all throughout here is encoded messages that that's not what you do. But it's not understood. It's not looked at, but it's right there. People pick and choose out of here what they want to, what makes sense to them and what they want to experience. When it's easy to turn it over to Jesus, bingo, you got most people going there. Then you find clues like this that's like, nope, you called person, here's what you do. You're the righteous person, you're the called person. You got to talk. The effectual, fervent prayer of a righteous man availeth much. Effectual, fervent, effectual. When I was a little boy and I prayed for Jesus to come and make the abuse stop, he never came. That was not an effectual prayer, even though it was fervent. It didn't work. Righteous man availeth much. Righteous is the one looking for purity, the one that's on the path. All right, that wasn't enough. And to be sure, I'm learning this at a point in time in my life before I took the first step. I was learning, I was gathering, there was something boiling, roiling, it was getting ready to go. I actually am at a transition point in my life here. I've been out of the military. I'm working a job. I'm isolated. I'm remote. Me and some buddies closed down a bar one night. I get a DUI. My job depended on me driving. And the only reason that I didn't get my license revoked for 30 days and probably lose my job was because on court day, the arresting officer didn't show. I was nice to him, though. I was polite, and I think he just understood what was going on and gave me a break. At that point, I was like, God, what the hell is wrong? I've been married. My wife had gotten pregnant by somebody else. Divorce happened. Life was hell. I was not doing okay. My childhood had not been resolved. I was moving into chapter 6. The world needed to be destroyed, and all of the sons of God came to, my entire insides were violated, and acting out of me are these big monsters. It's that simple. All right, at that same time, I'm reading lots of other material. I'm being very voracious in my reading. I'm going to bed at night. It's like I've got to quit drinking, do all that kind of stuff, and straighten up and study and, figure out something. And I knew that I had a lot of inner turmoil. I'm quick to anger, it was just like, God, I lived on the edge. And it was just not okay. All right, so I'm reading also an Omni magazine. It's out of print. I was getting that, and it was kind of a science and science of mind. I got a little hokey sometimes. It was just kind of meandered all over the place. It was like a public radio magazine or something like that. Anyway, but all kind of technical stuff. They had fun articles in there about making electronic circuits and things like that. So it wasn't all just, it was fun, good stuff. Anyway, there was an article I read in there. I'm going to have to condense it. It was something about past life therapy through hypnoregression. And I don't believe in that, and neither did the person who did the article. So I want to say that right up front. I'm not going down that path. What happened, though, is that he started getting this patient, and the patient had seen other patients or had seen other doctors looking for, medical reasons or something like that she had something wrong. And basically her story was that she had married her like childhood sweetheart. They went to college together. They got jobs in law firms. They were very successful. They had a baby. Somehow something went wrong. In a nutshell, they ended up divorcing, and she even lost custody. She was whacking out somehow. Something wasn't quite right with the way she was acting, and she didn't know why. And doctors were like, well, we can't find anything chemically wrong, and try this med or that med. Nothing's helping out. Last ditch resort. Go see that guy over there, the hypnotherapist guy. So that's what he's saying. He's like, this is like last ditch method. People come in, and then he would take them through hypnosis, and they would tell them stories about past lives. And this woman was talking about being a soldier in the 1400s or something like that, and killing a pregnant woman and making sure that the baby was dead or something like that. It was pretty like, wow, that's a weird thing to come out of somebody. And then, okay, so what the hypnotherapist said was that after they came out of the hypnosis, he would talk to them and they would just talk about what had emerged. All right, and he said it's a part of the therapy right off the bat as you start talking, as you emerge the stuff for the person and you begin talking about it into the open, no matter how weird it is, that the problems somehow begin to dissipate for the person. That there was somehow something happening, that the person was looking inward at fears. He said, I didn't believe in the fears. I'm not here to say that there's past lives or anything like that. But the story ended up this way, is that the lady called him one day and said, you know what? I'm healed. I'm good. My husband and I are getting back together. My old law firm took me back. Everything is fine. And by the way, I remember when I was 5 years old, my uncle molested me. And he went on to say that sometimes people have such difficult times facing what their experiences are. And I don't think you're the case here, but all of this is an important part of the story. Now, his suggestion here is that this somehow is a mental workaround for the person, that they've got something that they've got contained within that they can't face and they don't want to admit. They've somehow got it shut off to their memory, and that the past life somehow is this weird concoction in the mind of trying to access that memory without being the one responsible for it in this life. That once they talk about that and emerge it and get it out, a healing can begin. It's something that's been trapped away, and if you expose it, a healing can begin. And I saw that, and I realized that there, and then I'm seeing that, confess your faults one to another. Things like that are adding up, and I'm thinking, gosh, I got molested. I feel so ashamed. People would look at me and go, you freak, get away from me, pervert. I had all these thoughts in my head that were just, and the more I thought about it, the more I hated it. We grow them as we think about them and leave them unresolved. They're in a dark shell, and every time we emerge them and hate them, we make them stronger. Mentally, we don't know that. We're developing a memory and a perception. We're making that. The memory isn't changing. The perception is continuing to get strong as we go apply thought, hate, all that kind of stuff to it. It makes it more that. We don't know that. We just feel bad about it. You don't know you're doing that. Nobody teaches us. When you find out that's what's happening, you realize I got to break down this barrier. And if I tell somebody, so that's what I thought to myself, what I need to do is take a friend of mine who I trusted, go out someplace private. I set this up. I asked her, this weekend, can we go out to the desert? I got something I want to talk to you. I think I got an idea. I feel really bad about something, and I think if I tell you about it, it might heal. I've got some indications here that might work, and I don't know what to do. I got to change my life. And so we did that. And what happened for me was I I had a little Nissan pickup truck. We're out on dirt roads. There was a T intersection, and I was parked off the side there and just walking on the main road back and forth. There's nobody out there but us. She's just leaning up against the front of the truck, watching me pace back and forth as I'm going through this whole mental, okay, what I'm going to tell you is it's not my fault. This is what happened to me. It's something that you're doing all of this. I do this complete setup of trying to justify what happened before I even say anything because I feel so bad about it. The more I approach it, the more it scares the shit out of me. Somehow I finally get it out and I tell her and I wince. Like, oh God, here it comes. And she goes, what, that's it? I think it was about maybe within 10 or 20 seconds. It felt physiologically as if I had lost about 100 pounds, like weight had just come up. It wasn't, I don't know how to describe it. No, let me do it this way. Have you ever had something happen that just disappointed you, made you depressed, made you feel like crap? And you felt like that way for weeks until you finally got used to it? Flip that. You get something lifted off, whoosh, the weight's off. For a couple of weeks, you're like, oh my God, I don't even feel heavy anymore. That's going to become the new norm. You won't stay at that level. You're going to exist at a new emotional set point. But what you're doing is shifting your emotional set point based on what is being stored and hidden inside. Now, it's not always catastrophic. Like you had mentioned to me, you hadn't been sexually molested, abused, or things like that, but there's other things. But I think what happens is that there is this barrier that we have, that we keep it, that barrier is right there. And that we don't want to tell people things. But if we do tell people, suddenly you see something. You experience what has to happen. You have to be with the right person. You know, you don't want to say that to somebody who's like got their own issues. You need to make sure you're talking with somebody. And it's hard to do. I kept trying to think, how can I reason this? And one thing I kept thinking of is I could always put myself in other people's shoes. And I pretended, what if I was them and I was talking to me? Or what if I am me and they're telling me their story? This is what happened to me. I'd be like, that's okay. So I reasoned that they would do the same thing, but it's so hard to get past that. Once you do, it's like, oh my God. All right, so what happened right there? I uncovered myself and got drunk off of my new wine. I created a new vineyard. I created a new life by emerging something and healing from something. And I became naked and I felt incredible. And I'm in my world, my tent, my life. And that's after flooding out the world. Remember, there you were at chapter 6. Oh, things are crazy. I'm going to start resolving things. I've come through the other side. I've flooded out. I now live in a new world. It's the same place, but it's up here. You're changing your world experience, your view, the mote in your eye. The sun's covering him up is because later on, I got a suicide. I got stealing things. I got eating out of garbage cans. I still have things to deal with, so I'm going to get covered back up. But the big one has to start. Once that happens, though, you see an avenue, and you can continue to walk that path if you're with the right people that you can talk. You got to be in the right group. It's got to be us, these brain types. You can't do it with the average person that would say, oh, yeah, I don't even want to talk about that stuff. They've got issues, and they don't want to look at it. You got to find the right people to do this with. But it has to be this way. You have to be able to look at it somehow in a way that's like, we're just freaking animals growing up here. We got to get past some certain things. But if I feel certain ways emotionally, it's based on the state of my memories, my perceptions, and all of that up here. And the only way to change my emotional state is to start working through those perceptions. That's the very act of getting drunk. I feel, oh my God. 2 weeks. I don't even feel my feet on the ground. I was drunk for 2 weeks, metaphorically. And I was naked. I don't even have the shame anymore. Yeah, I got molested. You see, when it's not a big deal, it's not a big deal. When it is a big deal, you're tearing yourself up. If you can't reason out in your own mind, and we have to spend time doing that, actually, reasoning out in our own mind, this process and to do things. There's a Greek myth roughly contemporaneous with Exodus, the voyage of the Argo, Jason and the Argonauts, if you know that story. I'm not going to do a lot on it, but there's a point where this is being shown in the passing of going through the clashing rocks, where the story is held in such a way that if you're on the adventure, you're Jason. You've got your All the Argonauts with you, you're traveling on a ship. Noah traveled on a ship, didn't he? On his adventure to get to the other side. We're going to do the same thing in a more elaborate story form here. But what happens when they get to the clashing rocks? The clashing rocks have never been gone through before. They're rocks that are held open, and as soon as a ship sails into them, it crashes together and demolishes the ship. It doesn't allow anything to pass through it, to get into it. So what happens is Jason has to go through there. He's got to get to the far side of the earth. What's that? The far side of your world experience. You've got to go back to the beginning. This is the adventure to your beginning, to get the golden fleece instead of day 7, Eden. You're going back to the beginning of time, though. And when you get to this threshold, you need the help of a goddess. Depending on which version, you've got Hera, providing something, or, a god along the way that holds it open for them. There's a couple of versions from antiquity. But in all cases, they're passing through the clashing rocks, barely making it, with the help of a god, and then they pass through. And once they pass through, the clashing rocks remain open. Of course, they're on the adventure now to go defeat the real enemy. But what that represents right there is crossing that point right there. The enemy, once you cross that, once you open that up, you have access to that. And the story is held in such a way that they don't close again. That's because now once you've gone into that part of your memory and said, okay, I can expose this stuff. I'm okay. The fears evolved unnaturally high for what we got going on. It feels like you're about ready to be eaten by a lion. When it's not, it's just facing memories. And the closer you get to the memory, the higher it gets. It's like, oh, wait a minute. We got something going on here that's a normal process that we're not quite looking at. And the fear is preventing us from doing this. Okay, as far as not having big issues, I don't know if that feeling of elation would ever come. I have a story about my aunt. She's long gone. I remember coming home. I was on leave from the military many years ago. And she was there, and she had always been sad. She was a nice woman. She was the youngest of 4 in the family. She was overweight. She was beautiful, a beautiful woman, very kind, but always very sad. And I was home for a family gathering and a big meal, and she was there, and I've never seen her like this. She was just bubbly. I was like, what? I wonder if she was on drugs or something. But it's like, no way, not Aunt Venda. She's like church lady, believe in God, very God-fearing person. Anyway, she's standing by the table getting some stuff, and she's just talking away very openly, and something happened that I didn't remember till much later. It was exactly what I just went through. She said, oh my God, I feel so good. I was just able to admit to my therapist that I had been molested as a child. So right there's an example of a female Noah. What happened? The exact same mental process. She overcame a barrier that was so trapped in that she had created a new vineyard, her new experience now, and created a new feeling. Grew wine from that and got drunk on that. So it just means you feel good now from having done that. So she was naked, uncovered in her tent, and drunk at that moment too. My Aunt Venda. Okay, sorry for going all these extreme examples. I know you said you didn't have that same level right there, that there was other things going on. I had a lot of other feelings too, a lot of feelings of, a lack of self-worth. Something's wrong with me. I'm not, something's different. A lot of that had to do with personality, not fitting in and not understanding my introverted nature. But a lot of that too, when I was a kid being told things that were very degrading, belittling, and demeaning, quite honestly, I didn't sit there and go, oh, I am a piece of shit. Oh, I am worthless. Oh yeah, I am that sort of a piece of crap. I heard those things, but in my mind, I was saying something like this. I'm going to modernize it. You'll never amount to anything. Fuck you. You're a piece of shit. Fuck you. That's what was happening up here. So I wasn't getting wired. Those were getting blocked. I wasn't using that verbiage, but it was like, nope. Nothing you say to me is what I am. You don't know. However, I nevertheless am an inexperienced child that doesn't know myself what I am. So there's so much confusion and nobody else explains it to you. We're not living in a group anymore where people can say, oh, I recognize this one, bring them over here and put them in this group over here. That's where they belong. We don't live like that anymore. So we're out there trying to figure out why we don't fit. How come it doesn't? What's wrong with me? And in all reality, you're doing exactly the right thing. And you should be going, whew, I'm glad I'm not like everybody else. All right, setting all of this stuff up, that's really just about the Noah, the naked, in the tent and all of that. That's an experience that you're going to have if you have something really hidden away that you have you don't want to tell anybody about this because you have already got yourself convinced that it's so shameful that you can't admit to it. You don't want to admit to it. Most of us can remember that. We don't have to go, blame it on a past life. We can accept that. We can remember and go, yeah, I know I got molested. I wasn't 5. I was a little older than that. And, it's all intact. How I feel and what I experience is very vivid in my mind. I can access it. But the big thing is this. When we're born, we live from the higher awareness, but we don't have memories. We're not self-aware. We don't know that. As we go off and begin living life or begin consuming daily from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil, not just once, we're going to continue to do it. We're going to continue to just live. That's just living life, judging life, unaware of that, and becoming products of our memories and the way we've judged them. That's all that is right there. And then we become divided, Cain and Abel. We leave the presence of the Lord. We lose contact with the higher awareness. Then we just live through our conscious experiences. When it's time to turn inward, the important thing to know is to use our conscious to access our higher awareness in our state of mind. It's there all the time. It's talking to us throughout the day. It comes and goes. If you're in the moment, it's there. You're living through it. You're not living through your memories at that time. It's simply the state of now. It's the state of I don't like that term. It's this state. It's the state of being yourself, but not experiencing your memories because you're not your memories. Even though you're going to experience, they want to keep emerging up into your brain. They're just stored memories. The higher awareness can sit up here and go, yeah, those are stored memories. They keep messing you up, consciousness. They do. As long as you don't pay attention to me up here and get me on board, they're just going to keep messing you up. I'll come in and talk to you from time to time. Hey, go to sleep. There's nothing you can do tonight. Or, whatever you're struggling through, it is there all the time. What we need to do is practice consciously being there. It's the one where Eckhart Tolle, I hate to repeat this, he's talking about in his younger days, he's going through that mental turmoil at night. He's got thoughts of suicide. And he said there was something in his mind that occurred to him that was like, I can't live with myself. And somehow in that process, he began to wonder, who is it that can't live with myself? How does this work in here? There's a dialogue in my mind. Who's in here? What's going on? And he began to realize he's living through his memories, not through his higher self. That's exactly what we're doing. We want to get to the higher awareness, the higher self. From there, the more you can be there, our minds habituate. Whatever we focus on, if you're watching media, doing things like that, it's right there. It's focused, focused, focused. You have to let stuff go. You have to turn away from things. You just shut it off. We didn't evolve to have all this crap coming in. We can't manage it. We think we can. We just want more and more and more. But you know what? Are we satisfied? Are we happy? No, not if we keep going for more and more and more. We're not satisfied. We're not happy. We're always striving. We're always wanting. We live in desire. We live in want. You know what, though? Those need to be understood as normal evolutionary traits if we want to interact with them. If I want to eat too much, it's because my ancestors long ago never had enough food and they were constantly hungry. They were constantly desiring food. Now it's wired into me to constantly desire food, and I have to go, okay, that's an evolutionary trait. I don't need to satisfy what they never could. I don't need to eat just because I feel hungry all the time when I know I'm not hungry. All right, so if you can put yourself back in the land of trying to survive, you're constantly without, you're constantly want. That would be a normal thing, but you're not getting anything. We're just barely surviving, barely scrounging by, living, not much higher level than animals for a while, gradually evolving into it. But these are just things that if you don't have them, you're not going to live. If you don't have fear, you're not going to live. If you don't have joy, you're not going to live. If you don't want things, you're not going to live. All of those, if you don't constantly want food when it's very not abundant, there are no grocery stores. You have to go get it all the time. That's your life. Eating food and staying safe, wanting something more, and you just don't have anything. Today, we satisfy the hell out of it while still wanting more. The only reason I'm saying this right here because I think it is a part of it. It helps us understand what kind of drives us. Why do I feel this way? Why do I do this? Am I a bad person? No, you're being driven by something at a deeper level, at a core level, that is really what makes us tick. That if we're looking for the true cause and effect, we have to go that deep. So what happens then, somehow our minds are just going to perceive things in certain ways, and we become those perceptions. However we feel, we have to understand that. Now, I got to be careful here. I am not a doctor. I don't know anything about chemical imbalances or anything like that. I'm talking about myself I'm just talking about my life experiences and interacting with the material and my experiences with it. So all I'm doing is demonstrating what I've done in interacting with the old material. This is what they were doing 6,000 years ago. Even prior to that, they're knowing this back then. Oh, I just wanted to caveat that. Yeah, use it at your own risk. It's a personal trip. It really is. So that's all I'm teaching, the nature of the old material. Okay, so honestly, what happens then is that we're just kind of flowing through life wherever we are. We're in certain places in life. You're not going to, suddenly reappear somewhere else. You're flowing in your location in your life based on your experiences and how you fit into that environment. But you're fitting in based on the way your brain is actively thinking. Not just that, but what is stored at a deeper level. That's the stuff that we need to go after. That's the mote in the eye. That's the third eye. That's the odd against your brother. It's been said it again. And how do we get rid of it? We confess our faults one to another. Hey, guess what happened to me? Oh, that's okay. Yeah, well, really? I don't feel this good about this. Well, let's talk about that for a bit. How do you feel now? I feel a little bit better. Our brains are going to habituate the way we work our thinking processes, the way that they are feeling emotionally as they're functioning up here. We need to self-observe. If I'm thinking about something, it's like, God, you're thinking about it wrong. You're building it stronger by doing that. You have to stop and go from the higher awareness and go, I'm not that experienced. That's something that happened because of something here and there. I was within a flow, and if I keep hung up to it, I'm minimizing what I am if I just keep hanging on to that, the fear of that or the shame of that. If I can't talk about it and come free of it, I'm stuck there. There I am. In the sea of people. I have to be able to communicate, but I also have to be able to understand from my own perspective that I am not those. I'm being driven by very deep evolutionary drives that were in place for millions of years, that are still in place today, that are driving us now, regardless of whether we're getting plenty or not. That's just a part of, we're on for the ride. All right. The higher awareness is very key because that's where we come from and that's where we return to. It's almost as if here we are. This is where I exist. However, I have no awareness. I'm not a physical being. Let's create one. Creation, chapter 1 and chapter 2. There's the child ready to go, naked, unashamed in the garden. That child needs to become aware, though. It has to learn. It doesn't know I'm here. It has no cognition of me. It takes off in life and begins to experience and learn about life. That's us. That's each of us going off and learning about life and having and accumulating those experiences and losing complete touch with that higher awareness until life has become so much in turmoil that we're the right person that's going to look inward and go, I'm going to connect with my higher awareness now. That higher awareness that was there in the beginning, it's there all the time. It's been talking to me, there's little hints of it, but my consciousness wasn't ready to know that yet. Now it's learned enough that I can go, oh, look you're right there. Holy smokes. Let's just sit there. From here it's quiet. From here it's peaceful. There's no dialogue. When you're meditating, that's what you're doing. And the reason that is important is because your brain wires. It habituates. The more you focus on something, the more it becomes that. So if you want it to become peaceful and quiet, you have to practice being peaceful and quiet or it won't work. It will only become what you feed it. And if you're doing it blindly, who's killing who these days? That kind of stuff. Yeah, I can't even get into that anymore. Your brain starts working in things that there's nothing you can do. It just puts you in a tizzy. It creates turmoil for the individual, and we're caught up in it. We can't. I mean, you can either be experiencing the world or observing the world. What would you rather do? Those are your options. You can either go experience it and fight and become one of the pinballs down there, or you can watch it from up above. That's what we're trying to do. However, it's not just a matter of that. It's now looking at things and going, what are my problems? I need to identify what my problems are. When I act out, why is that happening? I think it's that other person, but it's not. That person's the trigger. It's me. Drop the frickin' ego and ask yourself, why do I fit? Or why do I feel this way? Or why do I maybe just personally have some self-deprecating feeling someplace? It's not an experience with anybody. I just sit there and go, God, I feel stupid. I feel something inadequate here, there, something like that, because we're caught up in the thinking of that. That can be a very personal thing that you have to understand. You're caught up in the feelings for some reason, and you have to start utilizing the analytical brain and looking at it and saying, what's driving that? I feel that way. That feeling is the final result. What does the feeling come from? What's in the background that makes that feeling show up? The feeling is an emotion that's a result of a memory and a perception or something, and you may not even be aware of it at the time. You might be in a funk at a certain time of year, because you might look back on it and go, you know what, if you catch the cycles of it, something happened way in my childhood that was very bad that never got resolved. And every year around the same time, I get something it's like it's there. My wife made me aware of that one time. Around this time of year, you get really irritated about something. And sure enough, I started thinking and talking to her and going back, reverting back and finding some memory back there that as I started thinking about it and telling her about it, it made me bawl. I was like, oh my God, this is a problem. This is a stored ghost up here. It's an unresolved, unrecognized. This was a time in my life where things were going bad, and I just put that away because there was nothing, guess what? Live with it. Live with it. Nobody's going to help you. You put it away. You go back and find it, and it's like, oh my God. This is still me back here. This memory needs to be updated. It needs to be acknowledged and told you're okay. Sometimes that's the case. You're looking for ways. You have to take time away. You got to get solo. You got to find some way to find peace and quiet. You have to want to know what the answer is, and then you've got to go off someplace where there's time for it to emerge. It's not going to just pop into your head. You have to let your mind go. And you catch yourself perhaps an hour or so later thinking about a memory from childhood or something that you suddenly, you grab your higher awareness and go, oh, what is this? What am I looking at here? What is emerging from here? This is something that happened long ago. That's how it happened with me when I was trying to resolve a lot of internal things. That's, of course, farther down the path. First off for me was not that way. The more subtle things can be difficult. It's easy to say, yeah, I got molested. Let's resolve that. Boom, that's a very solid thing. I don't feel good. I just have a general state of malaise, and I don't know why. Whew, that might be a little bit tougher. So you might just have to start thinking, what has happened? What's going on? And of course, again, medically, this has nothing to do with that. No chemical imbalances or anything like that. So this is just normal brain stuff. And that's basically what the material teaches, is to exist from the higher awareness, knowing that the memories are there, and that that those memories, as long as they're left in place under those terms, your life is going to continue to experience them in that manner. And that if you want to resolve them, you must go break through that barrier of fear and begin to manage them in such a way. And according to some material, the best thing to do is to be able to communicate freely with it. I mean, you can work on it and work on it and work on it till you're comfortable with it. But if you can never get to the point where you can open up and tell somebody about it, the barrier's not down. You have to be able to talk about it and go, yeah, whatever. If you can't do that, it's not taken care of. Yeah, it happens to everybody. Welcome to planet Earth. You're an egg and a sperm somewhere early on from wherever you come from, and your life is going to be the way it is. What are you going to do about it? At some point, you want to rise above it and go, yeah, I'm bigger than that. I appreciate that. They were all caught up in this flow. They didn't get a chance to escape. I do. I'm not special if I'm down there, only if I'm up here. If I'm down there, I'm just the next link in the chain. We have to escape that somehow. And doing that is making sure that we are living from the higher awareness. Then when we know things are going to emerge, we make preparations. This happens once in a while. Whenever this happens, I do this, and I get pissed off, and somebody asks me why, and I go, I don't know why. I wish I could quit doing that. That happened to me a number of times. But they were always follow that in. That's it. Take that experience right there. It's a fruit. Follow it in to its seed. Yeah, where does that come from? Inside of yourself. What is it about me in the past? And people might get tired of hearing, oh, childhood this, childhood, there's a lot of stuff. Yeah, there is. There really is. You got to be with people that understand. Yeah, but you yourself too can't be so needy that you have to cling on people. You have to do this really in your own head. It won't work in your experience unless it becomes a part of your managed emotional and memory situation up here. And then your life will flow, and it always flows in accordance with what is up here. So it's not flowing good now because of what's up here. When we resolve this, the flow happens. And that's taught across the board. But then whatever the feelings are, that's the tricky part. You have to find out. I mean, nobody could tell me what to do to feel better about myself. I had to take my memory and go, I see what that is. And if I bring it up, I go, God, I hate that. I don't like that. Then I had to go, okay, I've got to make friends with this thing. I can't feel this way. That's what's causing the problem right there, that feeling. It's not about the other person. Screw the other person. This is me right here. This is my computer. This is what's driving me in life. I want to fix this. Don't worry about forgiving the other person. If this is taken care of up here, that happens. If you try to forgive the other person, there's a good chance this hasn't changed. Nothing's going to change. You'll still hate the other person, and it's just words because you know you're supposed to. The real forgiveness happens at the level of I don't have the emotional connection to it anymore. It no longer affects me in any way. But you have to be able to self-examine what it is about you and your life and your personality, and you have to look around and be able to make comparisons with what's going on, but you've got to be able to step outside of it, be away, have free time, have time to inquire yourself. Ask yourself, why do I feel this way? And then know you're not going to get an answer right away. Take time to just go out there and take a walk someplace and be out in peaceful quiet, look at things, go down by the water, skip a few rocks, say hi to a couple of people walking by, whatever the case may be, stop and pet a dog. And at some point, you might be walking along and find yourself remembering something that is from your past. It's like it's trying to tell you, you're looking for this answer. You want it with intensity. Shh, quiet the mind. Take your time. I'm going to give it to you, but you got to watch. You got to be able to catch it. You got to be able to say, oh, I'm suddenly feeling this memory again. I'm living through this frickin' memory. What is that? Well, that's it. Go back to the higher awareness. Snap out. That's it. That's what I'm looking for right there. It'll emerge, kind of like the times where you're going, that song that I can't remember the name or actor or something like that. And then later it comes to you and you're like, oh, it'll be like that. Sometimes it might be instant, but most times for me, the really deep stuff was like, oh my, I really want to know why I do this. I want to know why I do this. And then I would be off someplace just totally understanding that I'm accepting responsibility, that I'm carrying some memory that is unresolved, that just needs to be resolved, that it can't be judged as something I'm a piece of crap or anything like that. It has to be just recognized matter-of-factly as a memory, a little piece of program that you're looking for. Except that your emotions are attached to it, so it doesn't feel like it's just a program. But if you treat it like it's just a program, you change your feelings. All right, all of this having been said, I would like to make a suggestion. If you're looking at material to study and to try and interpret, I would say that there is much simpler verse that you still would look at now and go, I don't know what that means. That if you learned how to manage that verse, then you can take that same technique over here and go, okay, they're doing the same thing, but they're putting massive amounts of layers on top of it. They're just making it super thick, and they're making it flow along and roll along. Because, yeah, what is reincarnation, really? I took care of my issue. Now I go on and I go, I still got another one. You continue to get reborn over and over again until you've resolved it all. Then you cease to have to be reborn. You've found nirvana, the kingdom of heaven within. The style in the Bible is doing the same thing, but it doesn't use the term. What we are is it's just continual iterations of us. We become Abram, things go bad. We become Abraham, that's the called person. You go destroy the stuff that's there. Then there's another iteration of you because something else is going to go bad, and another, and so on. So it's doing the same thing as reincarnation. You just wouldn't know it. If you think it's a human lineage, it doesn't look that way. If you realize, oh, this is a lineage of me cycling along, that's what it is. Yeah, that's reincarnation in Judaism. It's just going back again and again and resolving issues till they're all done. All right, you know what? I need to wrap this up. I think I've just rambled all over the place there. I want to make sure to cover everything. I want to talk about the naked, the unashamed, all the water and all that other stuff that's in there. Boy, it becomes so difficult to get through the analogous material. They're creating stories and looking in the environment and trying to create a religion at the same time. And there's so many layers on it. It's like, there is no separated water and all that kind of stuff. There's a good and bad that comes from the great beyond. We make decisions on things. There's a higher awareness. There's a consciousness. There's a subconscious and inner self that's a self-aware self, but is basically an accumulation of memories that have to be there in order for us to be self-aware. But we accumulate many memories that are bad memories that if we can get rid of them, we can still be self-aware without having those experiences. We have to pick and choose by observing our life experience is what manifests what energy is coming through us, that sort of thing. And you know what? I said that very poorly right here. The energy that we get is quantum foam. Here, take it all. Here, just have all the energy you want. It does not contain anything that's good or bad. It's just pure energy. Here, use it. It's our life experience up here, our judged memory and the emotional state that transforms that energy into what it is for us. It's not coming like that. We're making it like that based on our judged memories. So it's just really hard to unlock everything from the early Jewish material. Things have to be learned at great depths. Like birds of the air are thoughts, and you've got good ones and you've got bad ones. The things that emerge from the sea, this is you. These are the things that emerge from me. There's good fish and there's bad fish. There's even a leviathan in one. Some sort of a sea monster. These are just things that emerge from within us that are there. And, all of the cause and effect, the plants, the trees that grow, that have seeds that produce more cause and effect, the cycles that move. We've got the cycles, life cycles. We're going to continually cycle. And we're going to cycle based on the nature of the cause and effect. It becomes very thick to understand that these are teaching something very basic and verbiage that is really meant to make people that aren't going to look inward just live in awe and wonder. It's much easier to go to, if you wanted to read the Bible and get the right teaching, Jesus, Sermon on the Mount, Sermon on the Plain, without the monomyth, without so much baloney. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for yours is the kingdom of God. Blessed are those who are devoid of their bundle of memories, for you will live in joy. Make them mentally interactive. The meek will inherit the earth. No, they won't. This is your earth. You got to be meek up here. Learning to interpret the verse, the simple short verse, and make it personal. Each one of them, understanding how every one of them works would be key. When you get into the big stories, the Genesis and the things like that, what they are is monstrous layers of the teachings. And I don't know if you've seen these from me before. Something like the Tao Te Ching, which is a very small book. It's a very small. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. You work out what that means. What does that mean in an interactive way? And that's the process of interpreting the verse. What is the Tao? What is told? What is eternal? Is not. So what this is telling me that whatever this pathway is, this path that can be told is not the eternal path, but I want the eternal path. So you come over here and go, the path that can be told is not the eternal path, but I want the eternal path. That means what? The path that is, you have to work it out, and you eventually realize this is mental. It's a personal path. You can talk about the path, and that's real. We can talk about what to do, and that's real. But it's not eternal until you do it. By default, that means this is mental. This is a mental path. The Tao that can be told is not the eternal Tao. The path that is taken mentally is the eternal pathway. Okay, so once you work them out like that, you're kind of getting on board. 100% verse interpretation right there. Don't deviate any. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. This is mental. The name that can be named is not the eternal name. Naming is a judgment. You see down here, naming is the origin of all particular things. This is a judgment. We're going to be having a memory. So the judgment that can be judged is not the eternal. You don't want judgment. If you want eternal, this is a void. This is empty. We're born. We're mental. We are empty and devoid at birth. The unnameable is the eternally real. Judge not. It's telling us not to judge things. Don't judge life. Don't eat of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Judge not. Don't eat of that tree. The unnameable is the eternally real. You're not judging. Naming is the origin of all particular things. Bingo. I just ate the fruit. Naming is the origin of all particular things. How many? Gia Fu Fang translation. The named is the mother of 10,000 things. How much are we going to accumulate? The name, the choices, the decisions we've made, the judgments, the memories, the judged memories. I don't do this very often. Let's do the biblical parallel to that. Naming is the origin of 10,000 things. In chapter 12 is where the religion starts in Genesis. That's where Abram is called. Finally, it's going to start. And it's all getting set up, but what happens here? And the Lord appeared to Abram and said to him, unto your seed I will give you this land. That's it. The land is going to be your life experience. And whatever you're going to decide upon is going to be running the land. If we went down to chapter 17 is where the Lord converts Abram to Abraham, it's an iteration of us. That's, remember ahead, who covered their father in the tent? Ham. Ham was to be the father of Canaan. What do we have down here? Abram and Ham become Abraham. Okay. And I will establish my covenant between me and you and your seed after you and their generations for an everlasting covenant, to be a God unto you and to your seed after you. To be a God unto you. What do we have here? This is 22. Abraham. That in blessing I will bless you, and in multiplying I will multiply your seed as the stars of the heaven, as the sand which is upon the seashore, and your seed shall possess the gate of his enemies. This is the same thing. All of that is memories, or, good and bad memories. This is the large accumulation. You see how different they are. Free from desire, mental, not physical, not the world. Free from holding on to something into your mind. You realize the mystery. That's a Jesus one there. Blessed are the poor, for yours is the kingdom of heaven. Free from desire, you realize the mystery. Free from hanging on to things, you live in the mystery of life. Blessed are the poor, devoid of in your mind, for yours is the kingdom of heaven. Good life, the mystery. Caught in desire, you see only the manifestations. These are, now that you're hanging on to things, they're just going to continue to cycle over and over again. Yet mystery and manifestation come from the same source. This source is called darkness. Quantum foam, good and bad, come from the same place. It doesn't matter. It's based on what you've named. Darkness within darkness, the gateway to all understanding. That's in your mind. That's just page 1. But that's how you have to read the Genesis, all the Hebrew stuff too, except that it's going to be so thick. It's all mental. It's all going to be up here like that. It's so hard to get into. I just wanted to show you that. It might be easier to, like the Buddha, Dhammapada. It's very short as well. Those verses are fun. It starts off with the dual verses right up front, which shows us duality. All that we are is a result of what we have thought. It's founded on our thought. It's based on our thought. If a man has had an evil thought, if a consciousness has created a judgment, a derogatory judgment, then pain follows, like a wheel follows the foot of the ox that draws the carriage. You have to put yourself in the verse. You're the ox that draws the carriage in that style. And pain follows based on the judgment that's in the hub. Pain is going to continue to cyclically follow us based on that thought through life. The very next one, though, is the opposite. All that we are is a result of what we have thought. It's founded on our thoughts, and it's based upon our thoughts. So far, it's identical. It's telling us you're a mental product. If a man has had pure thought, now we're devoid of, we've unnamed, unjudged, pure thought, then happiness follows like a shadow that never leaves. You live in nirvana, the kingdom of heaven within, the mystery of life, flowing in the mystery of life. All of them are going to be the same identical teaching once you interpret them at that level. But you have to make them mental, and you have to shift those analogs into what they are. It takes a bit of work to get there. The Genesis, like I said, you can kind of see there that the other stuff would be very thick if it's going to be doing the same thing, except now it's big, huge stories that play. Instead of just saying, here's the facts, here's what you got to do, instead we're going to create an adventure. Here, put this in your head and play this out. This is you. That's what we do, because it's 6,000 years ago, and we're all over the place, and we're sitting around going, damn, it's boring. There's nothing to do. Well, build pyramids. You get people to work. You can see religions and these stories developing and evolving, showing up at the same time as the earliest, ziggurats and, pyramids, different things, Babylonian stuff. Yeah. And then later on, other temples as well. These stories are all emerging at the same time. But what are they doing? They're keeping people busy. Number one, there must be a boom in population. We need to also create stories and our local control. I mean, what would you do if you had no media, no newspaper, no nothing? You just walk around all day with no knowledge. Talk to people. Hi, what are you doing? Nothing. I made some bread last night. Cool. Has sand in it? Yeah. I need sandals. Yeah. My robe is dirty. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to work now. What would you do? What would you do? These stories would be a boon. Oh my God. Yeah, these would be life. So they're much bigger than we're giving them a very little bit of time when they had their entire lifetimes with them all day long. Yeah, if they weren't doing business or something. But I mean, that would be their media. So they would be much more wrapped up into it. I just wanted to say that to emphasize the difficulty of some of the material compared to others. A lot of my work with the Bible is really just trying to I want to know what that pattern is. There's something in there that's just, I know it's there. I have a good idea how it works, but it's still obscure. The verbiage is so old, I haven't quite got it figured out. So anyway, hope this was helpful. Questions, comments. Hope I didn't overdo it. Talk to you later.